welcome back to the channel. Today we're warping back to 1991 to revisit Super R-Type on the Super Nintendo. It's a game that dazzled with visuals, but also, well, let's just say it had a few hiccups. In 2025, is it still worth strapping into the R9? Let's find out. Super R-Type launched in 1991 as one of the Super Nintendo's earliest shooters, drawing heavily from R-Type 2, but remixing its content with new stages and exclusive bosses. It was Irem's way of showcasing the Super Nintendo's 16-bit muscle, though it came at a cost. Unlike the arcade original, which ran on dedicated hardware, Super R-Type was rushed to meet the Super Nintendo launch window. This led to compromises in performance and level design, but also gave it a unique identity as a console-first experience. The Force Pod remains the star of the show, an indestructible drone that can attach to the front or back of your ship or float freely. Mastering its positioning is key to survival, especially in tight corridors or boss fights. The charge beam has two levels, a standard blast and a devastating 200% super shot. But here's the catch, the 200% charge only lasts a moment before resetting, making it tricky to time during chaotic moments. And let's not forget the infamous lack of mid-level checkpoints. Die once and you're booted back to the start of the stage. It's a design choice that adds tension but also fuels frustration. For 1991, Super R-Type looked stunning. The sprite work was detailed, the bosses were massive, and the backgrounds had that early Super Nintendo shimmer. A moody, synth-heavy score that perfectly matched the game's cold, alien atmosphere. The sound effects were punchy, and the music, composed by Hiroshi Kimura, still holds up today. It's not as iconic as Gradius 3 or Axelay, but it's got its own haunting charm. Super R-Type is notorious for its crippling slowdown. When too many sprites fill the screen, which is often the game chugs to a crawl, some players saw this as a pseudo-bullet time advantage, but most found it immersion breaking. This wasn't unique to Super R-Type. Early Super Nintendo shooters like Gradius 3 suffered similarly, but here the lag is so frequent it becomes part of the experience, for better or worse. Despite its flaws, Super R-Type nails the atmosphere. From rusted space hulks to alien-infested caverns, each level oozes tension. The bosses are massive and grotesque, often requiring precise force pod placement and memorization. There's a real sense of dread and isolation enhanced by the haunting soundtrack and slow pacing. It's not a thrill ride like Axelay, but more of a methodical crawl through hostile territory. In 1991, critics were split. Nintendo Power praised the visuals and challenge, while Electronic Gaming Monthly gave it a lukewarm 28 out of 40, citing the slowdown and punishing design. Famitsu echoed this with a 26 out of 40, calling it visually strong but mechanically flawed. Modern retrospectives are just as divided. IGN called it the third best R-Type on Virtual Console out of 3. Nintendo Life gave it a 6 out of 10, noting that while the visuals and bosses impress, the lack of checkpoints and repetition make it a tough sell for newcomers. Today, Super R-Type is far more playable thanks to modern tools. Emulators with slowdown fixes, save states, and rewind features make it easier to appreciate the game's design without the frustration. It's also a fascinating case study in early Super Nintendo development, how ambition sometimes outpaced hardware, and how developers learned to tame the beast in later titles like R-Type 3. Super R-Type is a flawed but fascinating relic. It's not the best in the series, but it's a bold early attempt to bring arcade intensity to the living room. With modern enhancements, It's worth revisiting, just don't expect a smooth ride. What's your take on Super R-Type? Did the slowdown ruin it for you, or was it part of the charm? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to continue this journey with us. See you next time.